Good morning. Welcome to the big leagues. All right, welcome to the big leagues. Jesus is kind of throwing it down. It's no longer the nice, cute, cuddly Jesus, but really like this is what it means to follow Jesus. This is what it means to follow Jesus, that it doesn't always seem like it's the easiest path forward. And maybe you've experienced that. Maybe in your own journey of following Jesus, you've experienced what this gospel says, that you're divided against your own family. A father against his son, a daughter against her mother. And Jesus goes even further, even the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law and the son-in-law versus the father-in-law, right? That there ends up being challenges and divisions when we say we are going to follow Jesus. Because what Jesus wants is everything. He doesn't just want part of us, but rather he wants our whole self. I think another way to say it is Jesus is not interested in behavior modification, but rather he wants life transformation. Right? He isn't interested in behavior modification, but life transformation. Amen? But oftentimes we live as a Christian thinking that all I need to do is modify my life. All I need to do is modify my behaviors, and then I follow Christ. Then I'm going to be that Christian that Jesus is asking me to be if I just change how I act, what I do just a little bit. And I want to give us maybe 3 ways that we fall into this trap of thinking, even us good Christians, right, quote unquote, we showed up Sunday at 7:30, even though we probably woke up at 2 a.m. because of the rain. We're a good Christian, but then we fall into this trap that all Jesus wants from me is behavior modification. I think maybe the first way in which sometimes we fall into this trap is we think about it when our sin is I just need to white knuckle it. I just need to get through it. I just need to grit my teeth and get through it. And this looks like many different ways, but one of them will be probably here in about a half hour when we're leaving the parking lot. And you've been waiting to get out of that spot and get onto Joliet Street, and that person cuts you off. And you're in white knuckling quite literally on the steering wheel because you want to throw the birds and you want to yell and you want to scream and you want to do everything, but you're going to white knuckle it through so that way you don't do it. Right? Behavior modification. Behavior modification is I'm not going to go to that spot on the internet where I know I shouldn't go because it leads to those sins. I'm just going to white knuckle it. I'm not going to have that 4th or 5th or 10th beer today, right? I'm going to white knuckle that because this is what Jesus wants. But that's not what Jesus wants. Jesus wants to transform our hearts. Another way that sometimes we see this with behavior modification, that we fall into this trap as Christians, is the classic phrase, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it, right? That's what it is. We just have to fake it until we make it. Yesterday, I was able to get together with a buddy of mine I've known since high school. He since has moved out to Colorado, but he came into town to visit his family, so I got lunch with him yesterday. And my buddy Davis, he is an avid mountain biker. But I guess when you live out in Colorado, it makes sense. About 5 years ago, I went out there for about a week to visit him, to just spend some time on vacation, and he was so excited because we were going to go mountain biking. He was going to, show me the trails and everything else. I remember I get out there, and now I enjoy biking. I'm a road biker, right? Not necessarily let's go over a mountain. But I get out there, he has this extra bike for me, and we were saying he had this cabin up in the woods, and he's like, hey, let's just go up behind the cabin. He's like, but first let me show you how to do it. I was like, no, I got this. I'm going to fake it. I know what I'm doing. I don't need him to tell me what to do. And no joke, 5 minutes later, I was over the handlebars, busted up the watch I was wearing at the time, scraped up my arm, right? Because oftentimes, faking it till we make it doesn't work, right? And we've all experienced those moments in our spiritual life as well, that if I just kind of fake it, behavior modification, eventually I'll understand it. And I think the third way in which sometimes as Christians we do this is we have one foot in and we have one foot out, right? We're here on Sunday. We're doing what we should. We're praying, we're doing all this stuff, and then tomorrow we're going to go to work. And that unethical thing that we're doing, the immoral thing, well, at least yesterday I was good. I'm going to go home later today and I'm going to lose it on my spouse. because they deserve it. Like, we do this time and time again. We have that 1 foot in and 1 foot out because we're trying to change our behavior, but Jesus wants to come and set the world on fire, and he says, no, I want your whole heart. I want to change. I want your life transformed. And so in order to counteract maybe these 3 ways in which we do it, right? We white knuckle it. We fake it till we make it. We have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I want to offer us maybe 3 ways this week that we can have our life transformed by Jesus. Are you all still with me? I don't believe you. Are you all still with me? Okay, good. Because it's early, and I need you and you need me, because otherwise we're all going to be asleep. Amen? The first way in which we do this is we actually have to want to. Now, it sounds ridiculous to say it, but if you talk to anybody who's gone through any sort of like AA program, the first step is to recognize that you need help, right? To recognize that where I'm at right now is not where I want to be. And sometimes that's a hard reality to hit. Oftentimes it's a really hard thing to hold that mirror up and say, this isn't who I want to be, and it's also not who Jesus wants me to be. We have to be willing to step into that space. It seems small, but it's the very first step to allow Jesus to transform our life. The second is we have to surround ourselves with people that are pushing us in the direction that we want to go. Sociologists say that we are the sum total of the closest 7 people in our life. Now, obviously, that's probably an overgeneralization, like we have free will and everything else, but think about it. The 7 closest people in your life, you probably have very similar ideologies. You have very similar thought processes. You do a lot of the same things. And maybe that's just who you were before, but oftentimes we change and adjust as we go through life, right? Whether it's your spouse, coworkers, that neighbor across the street, friends from high school that you're still in contact with that you see all the time. The people that you spend the most time with are going to be the people that have the greatest influence on your life. And you and I, we know this. We told our kids that, right? You told your kids probably that. Pick good friends. Choose good people to hang out with. But then oftentimes we ourselves don't do the same thing, right? We hang out with that crazy neighbor across the street that we really don't, believe what they believe or think what they think, but, it's convenient. And they're fun to hang out with. And next thing you know, we're acting just like them. Now, I'm not saying just throw out all your friends and get a whole bunch of new ones. But be intentional with your life is really what it comes down to. Be intentional with what we do, because Jesus wants to transform it. And then third and finally is to pray every day, asking God for the grace in order to do it. Because this is the most important thing. You can't do it alone, but Jesus wants to transform your life. Jesus wants it more than you could ever want it yourself, because he wants to set the world on fire. Jesus doesn't want behavior modification. Rather, he wants life transformation. Amen?